Okay. It's been 2 minutes. I think we can start now, and I'm super excited to have our second meetup for content designers in China. And thank you very much for those people from China and also Kuala Lumpur joining us today. And today we're very excited to have a very special speaker, Zhongjun from TikTok, and also a long supporter and long friend of this community, frequent guests on many localization podcasts, and one of the biggest experts on localization industry in China overall. So thank you so much, Zhongjun, for being with us. A little bit of agenda that we're going to follow today is Zhongjun is going to take around 30 minutes to tell us about his take on collaboration between content designers and localization specialists, and how we can make this whole going global project better together, right? After that, Zhongjun will take some questions, which Arnaud will kindly collect, and we would ask each of you raising questions, maybe to unmute your microphone and ask your question with more details, so Zhongjun can get a better background of what you want to learn about. And after the Q&As, we are going to do the breakout rooms. So we'll split in groups of maybe 3 to 5 people, so we can have this group discussions for about another half an hour. And if after that somebody still is willing to mingle and talk more, we can pull everybody back to the big group and talk all together. All right, so it's pretty much the same agenda as the last time. All right, so now, with my great pleasure, I'm going to give it up to our featured speaker, Zhongjun. Zhongjun, please take it from here.
Thank Anna very much, and thank Arnold for inviting me to give this chat, give this sharing to colleagues or peers in China, either content peers or localization peers. And I'm very glad to talk about something around content and localization and content and localization together with everyone today. And let me share my screen. So I will start sharing. Okay, so can you see my slides?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm going to talk about content and localization. I think the two teams or the two roles are the best buddies in the content pipeline. So the reason why I talk about content pipeline is because I think content creation and production has to follow a process, and in this process, many stakeholders are involved. So each stakeholder or different stakeholders should do their part in this pipeline. So content designers and localization are just two stakeholders among all of them. So this is why I put the content pipeline idea here. So a little bit about me. So I'm doing localization at ByteDance. I've been specifically, I'm leading TikTok localization team, localizing the TikTok product into 50 plus languages from English. So, and then I was the localization manager at Airbnb China. And I was the first localization manager in China at Airbnb. And I also am running a WeChat official account called Product Log. The Chinese name is 产品本地化蓝皮书. And I also have a translation agency of myself. And of course, since 2008, I've been doing translation as a translator myself. So this is a little bit about me. So I have a question here for everyone. So you can reply in the pattern below to tell me if your company have a content or has a content or localization team. So can I see the comment? I don't think so.
I can read them for you if you want. We do have Vincent said yes to both. Rajab said just yes. Tila said zero, so no at all. Um, I said 1-1. We do have both. Anna as well. Sondra say 1-1 as well. They do have both. Emily said 1-0.
Yeah. I find a way to. Yeah, okay. I found a way to check out myself. Sorry. Thank you. And so we can see that for some companies they have both teams, and for some company they have content team but no localization. Um, so this is the reality, and I think this is not just about Chinese tech companies, but also for some overseas global tech companies too. So luckily enough, at and TikTok, we have both teams, content team and localization team. So let's talk about content, these teams, and what do we do. So I will share four aspects. So the first one is, why is content important? So maybe you know, as a content professional and or localization professional, you may know that my role or my job is what I'm doing is important to the product. But why? But how? So let's take an example here. So as you can see, this is a product and with design, and then um, you will see that there are just visuals without any content. So do you think you can use this app or product? Maybe no. Um, then let's see what it looks like when we put content in. So it's about this. It's like this. So without content, you don't know. You can see some beautiful designs and beautiful content pictures, but you don't know what to do. So with these info presented by content or texts, users can get a better idea about what this product is about and what is expected for them to do. So I think, why is content important? So first, it defines a specific user journey. So because a product framework without content is just a beautiful frame. So without content, users don't know what to do. So it with content defines the user journey designed by the product team, and it boosts efficiency of the product by bringing clarity. So with content, users will know exactly what the product is expecting users to do, and so users can use the product right away when they see the product and see the content in the product without any confusion, hopefully. And it empowers the user because when users see the content and see the content structure designed by content designers, they will feel that oh, I understand what this page is talking about, and I know what to do. So this empowers the user and let them feel that they can they have control over the whole thing. And it resonates with the user, especially when the content is about a slogan or a tagline or a call to action message. So if you design a good um, slogan or button copy, the user may be inspired by you, by the content, or even uh, the content will make them more eager to use the product, to purchase, to or to go through the user journey to finish the designed workflow the product wants user to do to finish. So lastly is sometimes brand the product. So this may not be the case um, in mobile apps or internet products, but if I say some slogans, well designed slogans of some brands, you will realize, you will instantly get to know or get it. So, for example, I'm loving it. For example, some it's finger licking good, something like that. So a good content can always resonate with the user, and then sometimes it bring the product or it brings the brand right in front, right in the user's mind. So we talked about content, and now let's see some examples about localization. So like this is the language distribution in the US. So of course these are the languages other than English and Spanish. So English is the biggest user group, and then most speaking language in the US, and Spanish is the second, and then comes with like German, like French, Chinese, Arabic, Portuguese, Vietnamese, etc. French. So actually, I asked a question to a colleague when they decided to launch their product into in the US. I asked, what languages are you using to in the US? They said English. Then I told them that for the US, at least you should prepare English version and the Spanish version, so that you can reach the major group of users in the US, because there are so many Spanish, Hispanic speaking users in the US, from North America, Middle Latam area, or even South American countries. So the next one is from CSA, a localization language consultant company. They create a slogan called "Can't read, won't buy," which emphasizes the importance of localization other than English, because almost like 50 to 60%, more than 60% of users globally prefer content in their own language instead of just English. And you can see other data here about their decision preference. So this is about why is content important, either original source content or localized content. And the second topic is about source content is the king. When I say source content, I mean source language for localization. So for some Chinese companies, they use Chinese as the source because they release products at the same time in China and overseas. So they and in the past 20 years they've been building products in Chinese. So naturally they will use Chinese as the source. But when you do localization outside of China, um, using English as the pivot language will be way more efficient because there are many linguists translating from English into other languages, but the pool of linguists translating from Chinese to other languages are are way smaller than English source ones. So I think if you go global, better use English as the source. If you have to release products in China and outside of China at the same time, use English as the pivot language. Uh, and the second reason why source content is the king is that it defines the tones and voices of a product because it's the source language. It is the language that the product is created in. So it defines the tones and voices. So and next is it is where key glossary terms are born, which means glossary must be extracted from the source content instead of translated ones. So and glossary, especially multilingual glossary, is the one of the first batch of content that are being localized, so that you can keep the consistency and you can keep the consistency and the accuracy in the product in the localized versions. And the next one is what if source copies are localization ready? So because localization takes source content as the source to do their job. So if the source content is localization ready, the life of localization specialists or localization teams will be way easier, or there will be tons of difficulties faced by localization team and the content team, or even the whole product team. I will talk more about what localization ready is about later. And finally, content designers are feature gurus. Because source content is created by content designers. So, and content designers are, like the name says, designers. They are creative people as UX designers, UI designers. They're all the same kind of roles. So and they work closely with the product designers. So they and PMs. So they understand the logic behind the design, behind the product, the feature. So whenever linguists face difficulties understanding the context, content designers can provide the context to localization team and then to linguists. So for localization, content designers are saviors sometimes, or most of the time. So and I have one thing I want to mention is for Chinese companies going global, Chinese to English is not translation. So because it's about redesigning the way of communication of the product. For example, if we have to say discount information in Chinese, we say 打四折, which means you can buy the product with 40% of the full price. But in English and many other languages, it's 60% off. So if you don't understand this, you may encounter difficulties designing the product or to design the content. Of course, it's an extreme example because it's impossible for engineers to create two copies, one just for Chinese copy and one for the rest. But like I said, this is an extreme example about how languages are different. So, and Chinese are high context languages like Japanese and Korean, which means um, the same word can mean different things in different contexts. But that's not the case for English. So when you convert Chinese into English, you are actually redesigning the content structure, or sometimes content redesigning the content experience of the product. So if you do English right and correct and perfect, then it will be way easier to localize English into other languages. And then because Chinese is so compact, Chinese characters are so compact, so when you translate or not translate, when you convert Chinese into English, the copy will be longer. So then it will be a very good chance for the designers to double check the UX design or UI design to see if my design is global ready. And not to mention, there are many more languages even longer than English. So you can use English as a benchmark, which would be way better than using Chinese as the benchmark to test the global readiness of a UX design. And you can see the differences here. So this example is from Jingdong. A while ago, they have an English version, and you can see the design looks cleaner than the Chinese one. And the next one is about what pipeline is about. Like I said, I mentioned content pipeline in the title of this sharing. So what does pipeline mean? First, it's mindset. So that because we are two unique teams, content team and localization team. We're two teams instead of one. We're not 翻译同学. We're not whatever they call us. Localization is localization, and content design is content design. You shouldn't mix the two. So this is a mindset. Many people don't understand this. Frankly speaking, many colleagues in TikTok, they don't quite understand the difference. But we are always educating them that we're in two teams, and we have two steps in the product development cycle. One is content, and then localization. So with this in mind, that means for a tech company, you need to consider the team setup, in your product development cycle, and then and as well as the workflow for these two teams to collaborate with other stakeholders. And then that means the flow of content, the flow of info, like context info, and the flow of data. And all these combined, so to make this workflow work efficiently, content team and localization team have to sit together and create some rules and guidelines about glossary, about placeholder, how to write placeholders, and how to write keys. I know that in some companies, keys are auto generated, but at least for glossary and placeholder writing guidelines can be discussed. And if you don't provide semantically meaningful keys like button showing the meaning of the page or of the copy, you must provide other context info, for example, screenshots or some key descriptions. All these info can help linguists to get a better understanding of the product, get a better understanding of each key, and then translate the copy correctly. And all in all, either workflow or collaboration or the flow of content of info and of data rely on tooling. So we have some CMS content management systems in the industry to help reduce the overhead of managing all these stuff like content info and data, like Gridley, like Dito, if I remember correctly. All these are helping with content designers and product managers and designers. And we have, of course, we have tons of TMSs, translation management systems, to help connect with the CMS and then to manage the whole localization effort. And lastly, I want to talk about saying no to zero-sum game, which is about how we collaborate as a whole. I'd say I would borrow a concept by Bruno Herman that we should try to be business partners of our stakeholders, of product teams, because we together with them, we can help boost the business. And so we're not internal vendors. We're not 翻译同学. We're not a black box that you drop requests in and we spit content out. We're not. So and all the requirements or guidelines that we set is not to block anyone, but to improve the overall efficiency. So first, product development is a collaboration. It involves many stakeholders are involved, many roles are involved, and many tools, systems, and data and many materials are involved. So you can't expect you cannot expect any one team can make the whole product better. It has to be a collaboration. It has to be a teamwork. So all parties should contribute to get the best content quality, because content quality is not something just something about something that can be um, blamed solely on content team or localization team. If you don't have good content quality, that means you must have some flaws in your product development cycle workflow, that you didn't pass the right information uh, to the linguists or to the content designers, or you don't even have content designers in the company. So everyone can contribute, everyone can write content, and you don't even have a fixed glossary. So one idea can be expressed in many ways. And for some, based on my uh, um, understanding, many Chinese companies, they even create custom systems to accommodate these versions of variations of one idea. For example, they may use different Chinese terms to say one idea, and they have to design a system to map all these different variants to one single English term, so that the localization can be correct. So the next one is about set correct expectations to stakeholders with more visibility. By saying visibility, I mean the visibility of the whole product development cycle, the visibility of different roles in this cycle, and the standard service level agreement or turnaround time needed for each step. For example, for content designers, you can set a expectation or set a SLA as several days to get a feature content ready. And for localization team, you need to tell your stakeholders that you need X days to get content localized. And of course, that doesn't mean that you cannot have rush requests or rush support, but generally we need to set the right expectations. And over time, other teams will be uh, understanding your needs, and you need to of course, you need to keep educating, and you need to be patient, uh, and you need to collect good or bad cases to tell your stakeholders that, oh, we we saw this good example, or we saw this incident out of uh, the disregard of the content um, guidelines or agreed SLAs, and you can collect all these cases and make a case to all your stakeholders, so that they can understand the real efforts put into either content design or into localization, that the real efforts needed for these. Or they will always think that content or most of time localization is just like machine translation. You drop some, especially after ChatGPT, so even more people will think so, but that's not the case, especially for product UI localization. That's not the case. we can use tools to boost our efficiency, but uh, nobody can guarantee that. So no one will trust the raw machine translation. I think I've finished my sharing. So if you'd like to get into touch, you can follow my WeChat official account or follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Zhongjun. Super interesting, and we have a lot of questions. I don't know if Anna is still around and if she would like to add a few words.
Yeah, Zhongjun, thank you so much. A lot of things you shared today resonated with me strongly, especially the part about us being not 翻译同学. Yes, if I had $1 for every time me or somebody on my team was called 翻译同学, I would be retiring on a tropical island right now. That's
Yes.
a huge pain point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, maybe we can go over the questions. We have so many questions. Oh my God, and I honestly cannot wait to hear what you think about them.
Yeah, we do have a lot of questions. So where to start is a bit tricky. Let me ask with this question. A good question to start, I believe, is from Jensen. So Jensen, if you're willing to elaborate more on your question, feel free to unmute yourself. His question is how to balance between localization and internationalization/globalization. For a product, how to balance between localization and globalization for a product.
Yeah, I think just to add on to it, I think it's a short question, but I think being a UX writer, content designer, and the occasional funny 同学 as well. I think we always I think there are times that we have to make decision to localize the content, like work out with our translators, like set up localization requirement. But there are also some part of the design maybe we need to look at how do we actually make sure this section or this piece of content would be easily understandable for everyone, all of our users from different countries. So I think this like the question that I'm curious to find out more. Yeah.
So what do you think internationalization? I mean, why we need to balance or between localization and internationalization?
Because I think there are some products maybe we will start off with for example English.
I
Yeah.
understand. I get it now.
Yeah.
So if a product chooses to go into overseas market, that means it's going global. That means that is globalization. And the easiest way to do this is to just like localize the UI content, UI copies from the source content source language into other languages, and just push uh, such localized products into these markets. So this is the easiest way, and the I'd say this is a must have for a product to go global at first, and then based on the feedback from your users, from the market, you can see if you need any tweaks into your product based on user feedback and based on market research. So I think this is so this is the economic way to do this. If you don't anyway, I believe that if you decide to really localize your product, for example, you design different fields for address in different countries. Sometimes you need to, but if you don't, that most of time you may not encounter major problems. But so that means what I mean is if you really create localized features for different markets, that comes with cost. And you have to, I think this is not a balance between localization and internationalization. This is a balance of cost and ROI.
Okay,
Hopefully
thank you
helps.
very much. Let's take another one. Let's
Thank
take
you.
another question. Perhaps that one from Nicholas. Nicholas, you ask a lot of questions. Let's start with an easy one. Nicholas asked, in a go to global company, English is always the source language. Is it a good thing or bad thing in localization?
Yeah, it is a good thing because we can see that first, English is the most speaking language globally, and especially on the internet, uh, it is the most spoken language. So uh, even so, this is English is obviously the first choice uh, as the source language. And as I said, if you localize from English into other languages, um, things will be cheaper and easier, kind of cheaper. It's not so cheap, but we don't we don't degrade our work, but it will be cheaper than localizing from other source languages. And then next is about uh, language involvement. I noticed that in many languages, for example, Filipino and Indonesian, and even German, many English words are already becoming common in people's daily life, especially for younger people. So using English, so that means they can understand English and uh, they can accept English. So I don't think using English uh, is wrong in these markets.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let's take another one. We were talking about cost of production and so on. So we got a question from Claire. For companies which don't have the budget for a content team, should it be the product managers or localization team's responsibility to make sure the source is localization ready? And is it feasible or realistic to train product managers to do content creation?
So uh, I think this is the ideal situation, I'd say. Um, but like I said, it's a mindset. It's about mindset. It's about awareness, uh, and it's about education. So if you would love to get support from all the content creators, either they are content designers or product managers or designers, um, you have to persuade them or convince them that at least using a fixed set of glossary terms will greatly benefit the localization. So yeah, this is.
Okay, right. And another question this time um, from Anna, who is just here. What are some strategies
Hey,
you can use to convince your stakeholders that localization is a collaborative process and encourage them to be more proactive? Anna, if you would like to unmute and add more to this, feel free to do so.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just keen to learn how can we address the issue of stakeholders not being aware of the fact that localization is a collaborative process, not being aware of the fact that good localization takes time and care. How we can change the mindset of those people who call us 翻译同学. Like I'd love to know, Zhongjun, how do you address that issue?
So when I when I joined TikTok, I see people sometimes call us 翻译同学, and then I will mention somewhere in the reply that we localization team something blah blah, and so we will remind them that we are not 翻译同学. And besides that, uh, as a team, as a localization team, we will do something outside of regular translation task management. For example, we will create some uh, internationalization libraries for product teams to use in the product to uh, to to let the product let users have a better user experience. For example, date and time library and number display library. Localization team will we created those libraries, and we use examples like the pilot features and experiments, A/B tests to showcase that these libraries are really benefiting users and benefiting the overall business. So over time, we will. I think this takes time, and you need to prove your values to them so that they and tell them what other things you can do other than just manage translation tasks.
All right, so 3 strategies, right? Remind people that you're not 翻译同学, create quality documentation that people can reuse, and of course, try to find ways to measure ROI and use business metrics to prove the value of localization, right?
Yes, because at the end of in the end, you need to um, be a business partner, not just an internal vendor team.
Right. Fantastic point. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's take another question. And before I take another question, I apologize. The previous question about English as the source language is actually from Maria. You deserve credit. That's a great question. Let's move on to a question about AI. We received 2 questions about that. One from Katia. Where do you recommend using generative AI in content creation? And Chen Liuhui, who asked, how do you foresee the localization content design process being affected by AI? So 2 similar questions. I asked them both together. To Zhongjun, feel free, both of you, to unmute yourself and elaborate if you want.
So I think AI, generative AI, is something good, and we need to learn to harness it instead of avoiding it. And I think for different roles, it has different impact. So for content designers, I think generative AI is something very valuable because you can you can you can quickly get a help, get a helper at hand when you have difficulties creating content. I mean, I don't mean that you can just use the content generated by either ChatGPT or whatever tools, but obviously they can provide some inspirations for you. And if you can write the right prompt, their suggestions may greatly help you to expand your vision or expand your knowledge about things, about ideas. So this is about content designers, and for some Chinese content designers writing English, I think obviously the data set used to be to train these these tools, these engines, like 90% or more of the data set is in English. So you can trust the English quality or nativeness of the content generated by content generative AI tools. So it can be the teacher of your of you. And for localization managers, it provides something easier for you to get an idea of something related to multilingual concepts. For example, if you can let the tool to give you suggestions about translation. It may not be so accurate, but you can when you have get challenged by the product managers or other colleagues, you can quickly have some answers to get back to them. And for with tools like Perplexity AI, it can also provide some URLs on the internet, so that your answers can be supported by proof instead of just algorithm.
Got it. Thank you, Zhongjun. Another question. This one is from me. I asked during your presentation how to localize a product without losing a brand's identity. So a product is, by that I mean a product is developed with a certain ID in mind, a certain identity from the brand. But when you adapt it to a new market, when you develop it in a new language, is there not a risk for the brand to lose its identity to better when attempting to better localize itself to suit to that new market?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I think this is something about priority, because when you do localization, especially when you are managing a very big scale product, there are so many content needs to be localized, and sometimes localization teams are just uh, uh, um, you don't quite understand or know the priority of different contents. So, and regarding brand identity or product identity, the marketing content is the key. So you need to put more resources, more time, more efforts into localizing marketing related content, so that these branding materials can be accepted or can be better understood by local users. But for other content, for example, help center articles, you may not have to. Of course, they don't contain any brand identity related stuff in the content, so you don't need to worry about that. And you need, of course, either local agencies or local colleagues to help you to be the gatekeeper of these marketing materials.
Understood. Very clear. Okay, let's take one last question before moving on to break down into rooms, network a bit, get to know each other a bit more. For that last question, let's take another question. Another question from Claire. What is the collaboration mechanism between content writers and product team in TikTok? Does content team ever receive complaint for slowing down the whole product development process? Claire, if you want to elaborate a bit more on your question, feel free to do so. Otherwise, Zhongjun, the floor is yours.
So it seems that I can answer this question now.
Yes, go ahead.
So when I joined TikTok 1.5 years ago, I'd say the product development cycle or workflow is 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 pretty mature already. So many educations has been done. So teams are teams already knew the SLAs and the collaboration timelines or the all these things. So not so many education is needed, but I believe at the beginning of the journey there must be many efforts put into collaborating, tweaks, optimization, and such. So that's why I say you need to be patient, because these things cannot be achieved overnight, and people may not totally understand you when you tell them the same thing like several times, even several times. So maybe you need more time, you need more education, you need more patience.
All right. Yes, patience is key indeed when it comes to content and localization and interacting with other stakeholders. All right. I think we also have a lot of questions left. Feel free to ask them to Zhongjun in private on LinkedIn, or in comment of the LinkedIn post that we make following this meetup. And now we can break up into discussion rooms, get to know each other a bit more. Anna, would you like to add something?
I think it was fantastic. I want to thank again Zhongjun for all the knowledge he so generously shared with us. And I think now we all know that we definitely need to make some shirts that say "I'm not Fanny 同学."